Hello, and welcome to this interview. I'm absolutely delighted to have Joanna Ata to talk to me this morning. I came across her only very recently, and it was a pleasure to discover that her interests are very much aligned with my own in the area of longevity and lifestyle medicine and technology, etc. So, Joanna, welcome. Maybe I could begin by asking you just to say a bit about yourself, a bit about the background, and a bit about how this European initiative that you created came about.
Absolutely. So thank you for inviting me to talk with you. And I'm really excited to be here and share more about what I find my purpose. It's basically make lives of older adults and their caregivers better in Europe, but not only in Europe, but in the world. So a little bit more about me. I lived for quite some time in Denmark. There I had my education in marketing, business, and ICT. Then went to Sweden for my master's. And my life started as more of an entrepreneur, as working within marketing, helping different companies. Few years ago, like 8 years ago, I ended up working with companies in US that are focusing on longevity, age tech, aging, all a different spectrum within that field. And I didn't knew anything about aging. I didn't realize I was like 20 something. So you usually don't think about like what will happen or how do older adults live at that stage. But then I met such a great people that want to create innovation in the space. They want to help, they care. And that's like how I came to realize that I want to do something now. And I want to do something not only like within Europe. I'm based in Europe. I work a lot with US based companies. And I see there is a huge lack in Europe about like a holistic approach. There is fragmented parts within each country. Some country do better, some country do worse, some country do basically nothing. And I see as such a great opportunity to change that one way or another. And I think like building a really strong ecosystem within Europe, it's something that it's totally necessary. And connecting not only like improving healthcare, but also improving a life as general. So making sure people, all adults can have like access to workspace, can be represented within like, even advertising itself. I just so opposed by Maddie Dykewald. She's amazing, by the way. And she was like showing the American Eagle ad. Like there was like one interesting ad that happened this year about jeans, like, and all of the fashion brands represent like younger people, but spendings are with people 50 plus, and nobody represent that. All the ads out there for older adults are basically either like you have some medical challenge, this is some medicine that you can use, or like you have like cosmetically you need to be like anti-aging products, but not like traveling, not like be fashion freedom, nothing like this. And I think this like mindset needs to change. So yeah, this is my goal, this is my purpose.
Well, I'm right with you on there, and you are starting on this journey at the right age. Unfortunately, I'm at the other end of the spectrum. I say unfortunately, but I think it does give me a certain perspective about healthy, active aging. My journey is a little bit similar to yours, except it's obviously a lot longer. My background is not in health or medicine or well-being. My background is in technology. I used to work for IBM, and I had my own business for 20 years. So I'm basically an entrepreneur at heart, and marketing and marketing technologies have been my thing probably for most of my life. And I put that to good use when I became the founding director of the Serious Games Institute at Coventry University back in 2006. And my remit was there to make them a kind of leading world centre of excellence for the use of serious games technologies and immersive technologies for serious purposes like education, training. But the thing that caught my attention at that time was its potential for behavioural change, and in particular in the health context. So there were, a number of projects that I was involved in on the periphery, which revolved around how you use technology to tackle certain clinical issues. But these were primarily dealing with existing chronic conditions. And it was almost by accident, in about 2011, that I started on lifestyle medicine and technology. A combination of circumstances, not because I was suffering any ill health particularly. It's just that people were telling me that I was fat. People telling me I was fat, and they were worried about me. And then an Australian academic friend that I met in London, she said, "You should have your DNA test done, because I think you have Russian blood in you. You look like a Russian bear, the big thick neck and body." So I did. I sent off for a DNA test, and it came back, virtually, scotching that idea that I might have Russian blood, almost certainly 99.9% European in genetic origins anyway. But he did tell me I got a higher probability of getting diabetes too, based on my DNA. So I did think about that. And then I saw something on the television, and looked at the website about wearable technologies. And they were talking in those days, 2011, about doing 10,000 steps. And so because with any kind of games activity, being able to measure things and get feedback is a very important way in understanding and developing your performance. So I decided to gamify my own health. So I got a very early fitness tracker called the Jawbone Up, which also happened to measure my sleep and allowed me to put in what I was eating and work out the calorific value of it. So it was well, fairly primitive, but advanced for its time, but fairly primitive by today's standard. So I started with that, and I thought, I'm going to set a target of 10,000 steps, and I'm going to measure it using this fitness tracker and see what happens. And within 3 months, I'd lost 21 kilos. And that made me see that the potential in all of this, not just with the physical activity, walking, but also with diet and nutrition. So over this last 13, 14 years that I've been doing it, I basically taught myself lifestyle medicine. And it was only 3 years ago that I found out about lifestyle medicine. I didn't even know it existed. But I discovered that it has 6 pillars, which are to do with the physical activity, the nutrition, sleep, avoidance of harmful substances, and there are six pillars. And I found that I'd actually basically taught myself and changed my habits and my behaviours in order to help prevent any health problems. So my focus was on preventative healthcare, not dealing with an existing condition. And now I'm 76. I don't take any medication at all. I'm still walking 5 miles every day. I put some of that weight back on again, but I blame my partner for that. She's listening in the background. So, so no, we both like to have a nice meal and occasional glass of wine, etc. But there's no harm in that. So that's what that brought me to where I am, and that's how I became involved with the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine. And then an opportunity came up to support their activities as a non-executive director of the World Lifestyle Medicine Education Services, which is the commercial arm of the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine. So all the things that you encapsulate in that European lifestyle medicine ecosystem really resonate with me, because I believe this ecosystem of technologies and practices is absolutely fundamental if we're to address some of the the problems of the aging society. So now I just want to ask you your views about what you think are the main challenges of the aging society.
Um, I was listening all the things that you said with such an interest, and I agree 100% with them. Like, if we do those preventative like measures, like, being active, eating well, like, taking care of ourselves, then we're going to avoid any consequence, reduce, not avoid, because sometimes some things are unavoidable, but just reduce the chances of like getting really bad, like having worse health in like the late years of our life. So actually increasing our health span at that point. I think the main challenge, it's like how we bring that from the oven to the table. So basically, we all know those things work, right? We all know there's like so many studies, there is like so many people, influencers that talk about that one. But actually, what we see, it's like people don't implement those because they either don't know how to do it, like what order, what structure, or they're unsure what to listen. We have like several different points where have different contradicting information. So for example, drink water, don't drink water, do this instead of do that. Like, there's so much information out there that it's not structured and people don't know how to use it. There is not something that will simplify how they can do that. Instead, what I'm seeing, it's a lot of technology existing out there that we put features on this technology. Let's say apps, features here, features there. Like, let's make this a huge thing instead of simplifying it. And then when you make a technology complex, like, it's hard to keep up and create a habit, because how we create a habit, we have a clue, then we have to pursue it, then we have reward. And then when we add too many things in between the clue and the reward, then it gets complicated for someone to follow a routine. And only through building healthy routines, that's how we extend the health span, like, and the lifespan in general. So I think the technology doesn't think about like that, in a way that instead of, complicating, they need to simplify. And also they don't talk to older adults. Like, they don't talk. They, as I said, with the ads, fashion ads, same it's with the technology apps. Like, we the language, the way they reach out to this audience, it's not the right way for this audience to adopt their product and solution. um, and it's not, in a sense, like to have a broader awareness about the solution, because it seems like not there's a small portion of people that care about that one. They spread the word, but then like it's within a small amount of circles that this information is listened to. So what you're doing with this podcast is absolutely great, and trying to reach out or broader audience, because I think like lifestyle medicine, it's absolutely important. Like, your sleep, how you eat, do you exercise, do you drink, smoke, even like being a lonely, like loneliness, it's
Yes.
also a problem, like social connection. All of those like pillars of lifestyle medicine are absolutely important, but we need to make sure how we combine those and bring it to the public, to people that are like outside of our networks, how we can
Mm.
do that. Does the government will help that? It's interesting because, for example, Bulgarian government and probably most of the Eastern European governments, their healthcare budget, like health spending, it's more about to treat diseases than actually preventative medicine. So basically they spend zero. If they focus opposite and spend a little bit more on preventative medicine and actually teaching lifestyle medicine or investing in lifestyle medicine, they'll reduce their spending on like, you know, medications and of treatment of like serious chronic like diseases. Some of the chronic diseases actually could uh, could be better with the lifestyle choices. So we see this with a lot of those chronic, even diabetes. Like if you keep a good diet, exercise, you can reduce your blood, you can like put your blood sugar rate in a good, level. So you don't need like additional medical support. And same with a lot more like of those chronic conditions that exist, not only, and that's the thing, it's not only older adults that we're talking about lifestyle medicine should start like in even like we should educate people even in the kindergartens. If you ask me about lifestyle medicine, even like younger people we should educate, because they will hopefully, if they're lucky, get older.
Yes.
That's like there is no like either you're lucky to get older or you're unlucky and you don't get older. So you
Mm.
at some point will be that 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus, 80 plus person, and you want to live like healthiest. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you're preaching to the converted there, but you're virtually echoing the words of the former head of our National Health Service, Simon Stevens, back, well, it's good probably 7 or 8 years ago, that he described the situation with national health in the UK as being a slow motion car crash because of the focus on curing disease rather than preventing it in the first place. But you're absolutely right about lifestyle medicine being able to also support people with chronic conditions. When I started, I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. I wasn't suffering any particular problems, but my blood glucose level gave me an indication that I was susceptible to getting to diabetes too. And I found out that particularly with the right kind of combination of diet and exercise, you can reverse diabetes too. And many other people, including famous Dr. Michael Mosley in the UK, have provided substantial evidence for doing that. But I think the biggest obstacle is ourselves, human nature. If you're having a good life and there's nothing wrong with you, you don't see the reason to change. But if you suddenly find you've got a condition, then that's what prompts you to do something about it. And in the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine, they have a number of special interest groups, and one of those is called the Lived Experience Group. So I joined this because I got lived experience of using lifestyle medicine for 11 years, and I just wanted to share what I'd learned with the rest of them. And I was really quite surprised to learn that virtually everybody in the lived experience group had a chronic condition, and some of them really quite serious chronic conditions. And they've seen how lifestyle medicine could help them to live a really full life despite these medical conditions. So I'm absolutely right. And the challenge is, it's not about really extending our lifespan, because we've been very successful at doing that over the last 40 or 50 years in my lifetime. It's actually making those last years of your life as healthy as possible. And not being a burden to the National Health Services, which is a reason why many health services, including Bulgaria that you mentioned, they are likely to collapse, because there is just not the public money available to support what's happening with older people. So, I salute really what you're doing within Europe. But I wanted to touch on just one other thing that we haven't mentioned, and this is a big bugbear of mine. If you want to, if you want to describe it like that, it wouldn't apply to you, but it certainly applies to me. And that is, you talked about the perception of older people. You talked about the advertising for older people that doesn't include things like holidays and enjoying it. It's all about, oh, you've got a problem, you need to take these medications, you need to do this because you're old and you're frail and you need all these things. But people of my age really have got an awful lot to contribute to society. because we have experienced the most remarkable time in history that most people, including yourself, you're still a young person, so you haven't seen how we've gone from the steam age and a situation where nobody had phones, nobody had cars, or very few people had phones or cars, to a situation now where everybody's on the smartphone and they communicate with the rest of the world. Well, that is a remarkable change, and if you and having been through that period in my life, it gives me a perspective, I think, which I think helps me to really evidence what I'm talking about, and also to help younger people to understand how life has changed and what the dangers are of the world that we are living in today. Now, I just want to mention something else to you, and get your views on it, because we are both very keen on trying to make a difference with our work and our lives. And you talked about the need, I think, for support and human connections and social connections in all of this, which are one of the pillars of lifestyle medicine as well. But it's actually how you facilitate that. And in the UK, the new health secretary recently published a 10-year plan. And at the heart of his 10-year plan, there's something called community health and well-being centres. So these are not hospitals, but they will incorporate clinical practices, but they'll also include things like podiatrists, psychologists, nutritionalists, gyms perhaps, and nutrition clubs. And I think this model, in the heart of a community that brings people together and attracts people, I think it's a way to go. And in my local area, or where I was living until shortly, we have, I think, a great example of that. And that's really one of the reasons why I started doing this event next Thursday with Neil King. Neil King is one of my panel members, and Neil is the founder of the Longevity Network in the UK. His background is in setting up gym chains, so he knows a lot about gym chains, and he felt that there was a need to have something that was personalized to the older person, something that was going to be more attractive to the older person, to the over 50s. And so this gym that he set up has equipment in it, which is based on, which begins with, it's like a journey, which begins with you having a bio-age assessment. So there is some technology which measures your metabolic health, your cardiovascular health, your strength, and also your flexibility. And that's all combined to give you a bio-age. And so the technology and the devices, the machines that are in his gym are customized to you with some gamification designed to encourage you to do the right things to reduce your bio-age, which does all of the things needed, particularly with your metabolic health. So I started on this journey, it's almost 2 years ago. It doesn't seem remarkable. It's almost 2 years ago when I started, and my bio-age was 74, which was the same as my physical age. Now, after spending all this time in the gym, I have my bragging rights to say that I've reduced my strength age down to 28, so I'm as strong as a 28-year-old man.
That's amazing.
Well, it is amazing. I'm very proud of it, but unfortunately, I have neglected my stiffness. That's the area where I'm weak, so I kind of ignore that. But it certainly worked for me. Anyway, Neil, after setting this gym up, he and his wife set up a nutrition club nearby, not in the same gym, but in a nearby village high street. And he's had some remarkable results because it provides exactly what you've just been talking about.
Mm,
People come there in the morning, anytime between 7 and 11, and they have a healthy, nutritious, high protein breakfast. They have nutrition drinks, but they socialize.
mm,
And this has proved very successful in not only improving, demonstrably improving the health and well-being of everybody who comes along, but also it's creating a commercially sustainable model because it's worth people paying to be part of this club, paying for the services that they get, to know that, and to be able to prove and validate that their health is actually improving. So I think what our health secretary West Reading had got in mind is this community hub, which has all these facilities, as being a great idea for a model. So I throw that at you and ask you for your comments.
yeah, I think like this idea of like this community hub, it's a great idea. And if it's executed the right way, because my main concern here is like if we who's gonna be the responsible for this to work out? Because what sometimes we see with the government entities that they try to interfere, it's we see something that it's done with good intentions and then left to, degrade. So it's left without actually somebody putting the effort to make it work. And that's the problem when like government does their government job. I think like when we talk about the hubs, I think they should be given into the hands of older adults to develop by themselves, like people like you or like people that actually care, and then they could see like all the dots coming together instead of just like having a policy that might be hard to follow. So that my thinking, it's a good initiative when it's like implemented the best way. And then when we talk about you said about like this gym and then the healthy diet and all of those, I agree and I love that, because like lifestyle medicine or any kind of protocol that we follow, I do believe in the future, and especially with the AI and everything technology happening, should be personalized, because what works for you might not work for
Mm, mm,
Peter, that is the same age, but he has a different, not only lifestyle, but
mm,
genes and everything. So it should be personalized. It should be like, let's track all the biomarkers. Let's track like everything, and then let's develop something that might work based on those data. It's same like when we go to take a test and see like our blood picture, and see like
mm,
it's the same way. Like we should do something that's more personalized, and that's like actually something that a lot of hospitals, there are big hospitals that are experimenting with some diseases, not in general for older adults, but diseases that they create a personalized medicine and they give it to as a test run to a patient
mm,
and they see like good outcomes of this one. And I think the same way we should deal with like all of those, like with lifestyle medicine, especially when we have so many different pillars, because we have food, we have like, we have
mm,
exercise, we have,
mm,
purpose, we have all of those things. And again, here it's how many people could afford all of those things. This is also
mm,
thing that we should think about, because some of the food costs are growing. Actually, the healthy foods are, a bit more expensive than like, processed food,
mm,
for
mm,
example. Like getting fresh vegetables or fruits might be way more expensive than getting a pack of chips. Like,
mm,
these things also need to be considered when we're talking about making something accessible to older people. I don't know, like maybe in UK it's different, but for example, in some of eastern part of the Europe, pensions are quite low. So mainly people aged that are 60 plus, 70 plus, they get such a little income
mm,
that they could not afford like all of those things. So
mm,
uh, are we making like extending health span only for people that could afford it, or we want to
mm.
make it for
Yes.
everyone, even the people that are not so fortunate to have like built-in wealth? And
Mm, mm,
if we do for everyone, can we innovate in a way that we can get like a better outcomes without like spending a fortune? So
Yes, absolutely right. And of course, it's a challenge, and neither you nor I really could do it by ourselves. And that's why we need to kind of spread the word and have an influence to help people to go down the right path, make it not just accessible but also affordable. And it's initiatives like the Neil King initiative that show that it can be done, and it's usually an individual with a passion to want to do something for their society, and if they can do it in a way which is commercially sustainable and get support from the government, then personally I think that what Neil is doing lends itself very well to a franchise type operation, which is a great model for combine if you can combine the commercial elements of it with the societal benefits of it, that you will be then that will be absolutely ideal. I just want to touch on one more thing before we start draw to close, because I would like to get you involved in a panel discussion, and you'll be more than welcome to join the panel discussion next Thursday if you're available at 2 o'clock. I know you're not shown on the program, but if you wanted to join and come and add some of your comments in the discussion, you'll be more than welcome. So you can join with the link that I will send you if you want to do that, or you can just join as a viewer and as an observer. But the other thing I wanted to mention is just talking about innovation and enterprise and older people. Have you heard of the National Innovation Centre for Aging?
yes.
You have, yeah. So that's up in Newcastle, and I know some of the people there, and they're quite committed and passionate about what they call the silver economy, which is probably more focused on the ideas that you were saying before, is that the advertising and the services and the products are not geared towards people who are healthy, want to be healthy, and want to continue to give something to society. They're more focused on assuming that people are old and frail and ill, and then they need products that are going to help them. So, maybe a good idea if I can get some of the key people at the National Innovation Centre. I know quite a few people there, and you, and if you have any other contacts, maybe in the USA or in Europe, who are working in this health innovation space, we maybe get together and have a panel discussion specifically about setting up an ecosystem or a model that is going to work.
Exactly. And I think that will be absolutely interesting to see how all of the dots connect in terms of not only Europe, but also US, also Asia. And it's so funny. I'll give you an example. For example, my mom, she's like 60 plus. She shops way more than I do, fashion shopping. So, and that's something that I see. She travels way more than I do travel, and I'm in my 30s. And then while nobody's actually handling like the technology or anything, talking to her, they talk to me, but she's doing way more spending than I do on all of those.
Yeah.
So, and that's like the big thing that a lot of companies need to realize, not only companies, but a lot of also entrepreneurs like you do, entrepreneurs like you, but you're focusing on building like that great thing. But a lot of younger entrepreneurs, they're focusing on the next tech, but they're not focusing on actually the market that will drive the change, will drive like, revenues, that will drive like use this what they're created. So that's like what I'm also thinking about at that point.
Well, I know someone in Asia who would be a good person to join. He's a good friend of mine who set up his He runs actually care homes for older people, but he's very involved in technology to support healthy, active aging. So he's quite I would say, reasonably influential figure in Singapore. So I could invite him. And if you have someone that you know in the USA who think might be, or someone else in Europe, I could perhaps get somebody from the National Innovation Centre for Aging. But if we had USA, Europe, Asia represented, that would make quite an interesting discussion.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. So send me more information on that, and and I will suggest few people that could be there, like people that have a real knowledge, like into the field and into their ecosystems. U.S. ecosystem, it's quite well built. I could
Mm,
say, because I work
mm,
extensively in that ecosystem, and you see like uh, how technology is piloted within, let's say, senior living communities, memory
mm,
care communities, assisted living
mm,
communities. The network, it's like way better. You have like special VCs, investors that invest on age tech longevity. In Europe, that's something, it's not that way. Like
mm,
it's hard to, even if you Google it, there's only 5 or 6 that come up on top, and they're
mm.
like not even that, they have basically no presence.
Yeah. I agree with you. And talking about the USA, I'm sure you're probably aware of the American Association for Retired Persons, because AARP, because they've done some really quite innovative work, including a metaverse for older people, which is extremely good. You know, I've got my own apartment in their setup, and it's the way that it works is that you have an apartment which you can customize with your own paintings, with your own pictures, with your own videos, and so it has so many different tools. It's got a little music room. It's got a television screen. It's got an area for where you can look at photographs of some of your memories. It's got an area where you can play games, all within the metaverse, so people can be based anywhere. And then it's got outside. You can choose whether your view is of the mountainside or the forest or the seaside. And you can go around the balcony, and there's a little area there which is specifically designed for health and well-being. So you can watch videos, you can experience spiritual, relaxing meditational music, and a whole range of other things in this apartment. And so you can invite people to join you. So if you and you can view it on. You don't have to have a VR headset. You can view it on a laptop screen. So if you're interested in having a look at that, let me know, because I can send you an invitation to join me in this metaverse, and I can show you some of my pictures and videos.
That's so nice. Yeah, I know. I'm actually part of the AgeTech Collaborative by ARP, like as a business partner for the past 2 years, and I think what they're doing is truly amazing,
Mm,
especially like the AgeTech Collaborative, because they kind of created this community of companies that innovate within the space.
mm,
They, they have this like discussion boards. They organize events where all of those connect. They go do a pilot. They have like an incubator. So they're kind of doing what we need to do in Europe, like, and
yes,
they're
yeah.
doing an
Mm,
amazing job, like pushing this to investing in this and like
mm.
pushing this live. So not only like older adults, but younger people could be involved, and there could be
Yes,
like
yeah.
intergenerational
Mm.
like collaboration in between. So we always have that looking forward. So yeah.
Well, the other connection that I want to make, well, you may have heard of him. Have you heard of Ian Sparrow? Spero, Ian Sparrow.
Uh,
Um, and he set up an ISO standard for neighborhoods of the future, which is like a blueprint of how we should be building new villages and new community areas which are multi-generational, that bring people together and have all the right facilities to enable people to age healthily. So if you don't know Ian, then I will certainly make an introduction for you.
I would love to learn more about that one and see how that could be implemented too. I don't think like I know him, but yeah, I have hard time remembering names. So
Well, you have, if you're 30, me at 76, if you can't remember, what chance have I got?
so I have a pretty good memory remembering ideas and making all like ideas and purposes, but names. So yeah.
Oh well, yeah. I think we're in the same boat there. Well, anyway, I've taken up too much of your time already, but it's been a wonderful pleasure to talk to you, Joanna. I hope you could perhaps join us next Thursday, but if not, don't worry. I will plan to have more events to involve you in panel discussions and connecting with other people.
Absolutely. That would be absolutely amazing. I'm actually on a panel discussion next week Thursday. Maybe it's the same event. So maybe send me the information and see like maybe it's the same event. It's UK event. Like so I don't know. Let's see.
Okay,
Maybe.
there's so many of these things. Well, it's a good thing anyway. It's a good thing. So yeah, anyway, thank you very much for your time, Joanna. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm sure our paths will cross again. And I'll keep you posted with the events that I'm involved in and I'm planning. They are always. I get invited to speak at conferences virtually every day. I get at least one invitation to speak at an international conference every day, and that's not exaggerating. And I have to turn them down, not just because I couldn't afford to do all of that, but a lot of them are really outside of my domain of experience. So I'm trying to focus more on lifestyle medicine and maybe some technology areas that I'm interested in. But they always ask me for if I can recommend any speakers. So I will be happy to recommend you. The only thing I would say is that some of these conferences are scams. They are not, they're bogus conferences. So you have to be very careful about that. But the other thing is that nearly all of them, even the good ones, I mean, they expect speakers to pay a registration fee. And I refuse. So that's my yardstick, that whenever I get an invitation like this, I say, I'm sorry, I do have a very busy calendar, and one thing I do not do is pay registration fees, because I don't think it's reasonable to share experience built up over a lifetime, and pay for the privilege of sharing what I know. I don't think that makes sense. So if you can't offer me free registration, then I'm not interested. That's my yardstick, and I'd say the same to anybody whose name I put forward is do not pay registration fees.
Absolutely.
Because
if you're joining any conference in Europe, let me know. Would love to meet with you, and then maybe speak live, not so much virtually, and talk about ideas, like talk about challenges. I think
absolutely.
So many challenges, but we also need to talk about solutions. And I'm sure, like with what you're doing, your experience, your passion in lifestyle medicine, then like you'll be one of the persons that find those solutions. And I will hear your name way more in lifestyle medicine together. So I'm sure
absolutely. Well, thank you very much for that, Joanna. I will say cheerio now and thank you, and end the recording. And I think it's been a very useful and interesting discussion. So I don't have any problems personally with publishing that on LinkedIn and on my Digimed TV YouTube channel. So that'll be great.
Publish it and let me know, and I would love to share it with also my audience. It was a great conversation. I agree.
Okay, thank you. Unlike the opening video sting, there is a closing video sting that should play when this draws to a close. So thank you very much once again,
Thank you.
Joanna.
Thank you.